Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So today we're going to be starting the cut and polish stage on this VW Golf. This is the one that we painted here in the garage. So we painted the bonnet, the two guards, the pillars on both sides, and half of the quarter panels up to that line. We also did the rear upper spoiler, or the rear upper tailgate. But I'll give you guys a look at how it's looking now. So look, it hasn't held the best gloss. It's kind of, I don't know how well you guys can see it. It actually doesn't, like from a distance, it doesn't look too bad. And hey, it's much better than the patch of no paint left from the sun damage. But yeah, the closer you get up to it, you can see that the gloss has kind of died. It starts breaking up where you can see it. So it's got a bit of gloss drop in it. So I think there's a couple of things going on behind that. So as it turned out, like when I ordered the clear coat, it was the Autothane clear coat. I think it's called Omni over there in the US. But when I ordered it, like I didn't know the thinning ratio, right? So to the paint rep, I said to him on the phone, I said, "Oh, what is it?" I said, "Is it 4:1?" And he said, "Yeah." So I didn't even think to look up the technical data sheet, and it turns out it's a 2:1 clear. So it's meant to be 2:1 plus 5 or 10% reducer. So I'm glad that I did find that out now, but unfortunately, I didn't even know the correct thinning ratio because the paint rep told me the wrong ratio, unfortunately, but it should be all right. Like, it's actually nice and hard and dry. So that's the main thing. It's gone hard and dry. I didn't really charge my friend much on this car, so he'll forgive me. I told him about it anyway. That aside, first thing I'm going to be doing is getting my tungsten block. So those of you who watched the video will remember that I actually did have to dab in a little bit of silicone there, and that's actually flowed in pretty well. Like that was all the way down to base coat there. So what I'm going to do is, so all I did, like it was like a fisheye or like a divot in the paint that there was no clear there. It had opened right up. So I dabbed it in, and then all we're going to do now is run this over it, and that's probably going to be good enough. Hey, it's not going to be perfect. You can see there, there must still be like a slight low section there, but and then these ones, all these big ones, I'm going to try and get that with this tungsten block as well. So all that's doing is that's shaving down the high spot of the bit of dirt. This one here was a fly or something like that. So that fly crash landed in here, and we'll cut that out, no dramas. You'll barely be able to see anything there when we're done. So yeah, next thing I'm just going to be spending a few minutes is just getting all these ones out with the tungsten block. Just be careful with these tungsten blocks. I found you best off using them, start off flat, you know what I mean? So you can see that's the paint surface. Start lower, you don't start like that, but start lower. And like something like this, just leave like, say, your finger underneath it, and then as you go, you can bring it up. So as you actually bring this tungsten up, that's when it's more likely to actually dig in. So yeah, I sort of start it like that, you know, a little bit flatter, but then if I need it, like for a big one, I'll sort of angle it up a little bit more, and that's when it's going to start digging in. So you don't want to start it with too high of an angle, or you run the risk of possibly digging into the paint. But as long as the paint's nice and cured, they're actually a pretty safe tool. Like you might be a little bit scared at first, thinking, geez, you know, you might sort of dig into your paint. But as long as it's on a flat surface, as long as you're not sort of hitting it in these kind of areas, you know, as long as you're not going to go and put it something like that, yes, that's going to put a scratch straight through your paint when you catch it on the edges. But if you keep it straight like this, like you could run that across the paint like that all day, and it's not going to do much damage to it. Yes, it's going to put some minute scratches in the top of the surface, but something that will come out with the buff anyway. As you see, these big ones, that's just shaving down the high spot. They're actually a really, really good tool, these tungsten blocks. Very handy. And I've had this one since like early 2000. It must have been like 2003 or 2004. So that's quite old, and it's still sharp. So I thought I'd give you guys a look at how I fix a little bit of silicone. So hopefully you guys can see properly up there on the head cam. But what we've got here is a little, there we go, I think that's it. Yeah, there's a little bit of silicone there. So as I was saying, we generally call that a silicon, or some people call it fisheye. But I'll show you how I fix that. So I'll start off, get a piece of 2000 grit. You could use 1500, just anything to give it a bit of a scratch up either side of it. And if you can, even just get like a little bit in there just to make sure the inside of it's been scratched up. So that means that the super glue is going to stick. And I know it might sound like a pretty crazy thing to go and do, put super glue in there, but it gets you out of a pickle. It's better than having a fisheye there, and it actually works really fast. So when you're doing this, don't use a touch-up brush, because it's obviously going to dry out your touch-up brush and destroy it. Just use a bit of now this is a gel super glue. I've never done it with this exact style of super glue before. That's just the one that I like to use here at home, but generally the more liquid super glue is what I would go for. Yeah, it's a bit messier, this one. The liquid one is actually much better, because you just give it a little blob and it'll sort of self-level out, but we'll see what we can make happen out of this one. Yeah, so it's a bit proud there, but the tungsten is going to sort that out pretty easy. Yeah, I don't usually make it that messy, but as I say, this is the gel stuff. I like using this gel for a general purpose super glue, but it's not the best for this purpose. So I've never done this before, but I've never had so much dust in a bonnet before. So what I was doing is I'm just literally going over the entire thing. So it will find all of the big ones. So you can see here, I just went like that the whole way across it, and it's just picked up the big ones. So it's been working, as you can see here, just going over the whole thing, rather than trying to, like, generally I'll just go and get the eye and find each one individually, but there's so many here that you may as well just go over the whole thing and let the tungsten find them rather than the eye. So I got all those spots done with the tungsten, and next up, just going to get my orbital sander and some 2000 grit. Just do this dry. I prefer it dry. I think it's easier to see where you have and have not done. Slow that down a bit there. Have a look at that. That's getting all those small ones out, no dramas. And I'm not looking for perfection out of this too, just for the record. Alright, so it's been a couple of days since I put that in. We'll see how it comes out. Hopefully this gel super glue is actually going to work. So down the sides here, I'm not going to sand the entire thing back flat. I am just going to do the spots. Get a bit of 2000 wet, even just do it with your fingers, because most of them have a low profile to them, and the big ones I did get the tungsten onto. And tiny little ones don't need a block. Plus, as you know, we're not looking for perfection, just tidy paint job. I can't believe that actually worked that well. It looked like it wasn't going to. Nice. A good little block with 2000. Alright, so now we're ready to get some, you know what, I might actually get, while we've got that out, give that one a bit of a block too. That's where we had like a bug land in it. This one's probably not going to come out as well, but touch up a little bit of black in the low spot. Again, that's better than what I expected. No, but look, you know, look, it's not going to be perfect. There are still a few little silicon spots and a few raised sections, but I think that's going to be good enough. It's got rid of all the small ones. Might be a few little lumps left, but it should be fine. So next up is scratch refinement. What have I got in my bag of tricks here? Got loads of, I've got 3,000. I might not do the 5,000, but we'll see how I'm feeling at the time. So I've got some old ones here. I may as well use them up if they've got any go left in them. So these 3,000 grit pads, they're about $10 a piece, so that's why I'm reusing the old ones. Well, I mean, I always would with any sandpaper anyway. I do try to get the most out of it, but specifically these ones because they're really expensive. So that's it after the 3,000 grit stage, and I can barely even believe it, but I had like 3 old pieces of 3,000 grit here, and I only used one of them. So like it was already an old bit of 3,000, and I managed to use one of them for the entire car. So the entire bonnet, both guards, the little bit up the back, and both of those quarter panels. So yeah, absolutely blown away by how long that one piece lasted. And I know that it worked because as I was doing each section, I would wipe it off and see the difference. You can see that it's kind of half shiny already. But at this stage, what you can do, you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. You can actually see your imperfections in this 3,000 grit stage. So let's see if we can get some light on that. So there is a few imperfections. I'm aware of that, but I don't think my friend is going to be overly concerned about those little imperfections. But either way, next up, I'm going to give it a quick 5,000 and then get on the buff. That's one thing worth remembering is when you're finished with your 3,000 grit pads, just give it a wash out like that. That'll keep all the sludge out of it, and I'll be able to use that for the next job. So yeah, really impressive how long that lasted. So as I said, it was a second-hand pad already, and I managed to do the entire car with one of them. Anyway, up to the 5,000 grit stage. Same thing, I just like to do it in sections. Don't try and do the whole thing at once. Do a section, wipe it off, make sure you're happy with it. And I like to use the orbital just on slow, do lots of passes, but use it on the slow setting, just so you work it in nicely. And this should polish up really easy. There's actually another step you can go to, 8,000 grit, but I think 5,000 is enough. And I still use the coarse cutter compound just in case you did miss a little bit of 2,000 or 3,000. I mean, technically 3M have like a system where you sand all the way up to 8,000 and then you do like a one-step polish, but I probably wouldn't try doing that because you might have, say, missed a 2000 grit scratch. But there you go, I can tell straight away that that's shinier. Let's see if you guys can see that, but yeah, that's much shinier than even that. So that's the 5000 grit stage all done, and as you can see, it's basically already cut, if you know what I mean, because we've gone such a fine sandpaper grit. The cutting stage is basically already done. As I say, it's not to say that I'm not going to do it, because you may have missed like a little bit of 2000 inside here, and I still do want to get them out as good as I can. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. I've gone over the whole thing, and yeah, next stage is to get the buff out. This video ended up getting a little bit longer than I expected, so I did end up deciding to break it into two. But next video, we're going to be doing the cut polish stage and also the ceramic coating. But as you can see here, it's cutting up really nice and fast. I've definitely been having fun doing this project, and I hope you guys have been enjoying watching it. But there's going to be one more in this series to come. Anyway, until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested.